This is a list of Ukrainian, Russian, and Russian-separatist aircraft losses during the Russo-Ukrainian War, including the war in Donbas and the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. Missions. The role of the Air Force is to protect the airspace of Ukraine. The objectives are: obtaining operational air superiority, delivering airstrikes against enemy units and facilities, covering troops against enemy airstrikes, providing air support to the land forces and the Navy, disrupting enemy military and state management, disrupting enemy communications, and providing air support by reconnaissance, airdrops, and troops and cargo transportation. In peacetime, this is carried out by flying airspace control missions over the entire territory of Ukraine, and by preventing airspace intrusion along the aerial borders. Over 2,200 service personnel and civilian employees of the Air Force, employing 400 items of weapons and equipment, are summoned daily to perform defense duties. On average, the Ukrainian radar forces detect and track more than 1,000 targets daily. As a result, in 2006 2 illegal crossings of the state border were prevented and 28 violations of Ukrainian airspace were prevented. Due to such increased strengthening of airspace control, the number of airspace violations decreased by 35% compared to the previous year, even though the amount of air traffic increased by 30%. History. 1917–1921. The roots of Ukrainian military aviation are in the autumn 1917 creation of the Ukrainian People's Republic Air Fleet, headed by former commander of the Kyiv Military District Lieutenant Colonel Viktor Pavlenko. Previously, while in Russian service in World War I, Pavlenko was in charge of air security of the Russian Stavka. Sometimes in 1918 the West Ukrainian People's Republic created its own aviation corps with the Ukrainian Galician Army headed by Petro Franco, a son of renowned Ukrainian writer Ivan Franko. In 1918 he organized an aviation school of the Ukrainian Galician Army Command Center which was active until 1920. Among the airplanes used by the Ukrainian aviation in this period were Belgium-built Spad S.VIIs. The Ukrainian Galician Army used Nieuport 17 biplanes. Collapse of the USSR. Air Forces. Air Defense Forces. 1991–2014. Since 1991's Ukrainian independence, the Air Force has suffered from chronic underinvestment, leading to the bulk of its inventory becoming mothballed or otherwise becoming inoperable. The structural reorganization of the Air Force had set as goals for itself the sufficient reduction in the total number of command and control levels, and increasing the efficiency of command and control processes. The reorganization of command and control elements of the Air Force is still underway. The first step of this organization was to transition from the existing air commands to the command and control and warning center systems. This will not only help eliminate duplications at the command and control levels, but will also contribute to an increased centralization of the command and control system, the multifunctionality of the command and control elements, and effectiveness of response to the change of air conditions. 2006 saw the definition of the functions and tasks, organization, and work of the C2 and Warning Center, as well as the mechanism of interaction with the establishment of the Air Operations Center and Joint Operational Command. During the Command and Staff Exercise, one of the Air Force commands has in effect performed control of C2 and Warning Center formation level. The An-24 and An-26 aircraft, as well as the S-300 and Buk M1 anti-aircraft systems, have been continually modernized, and their service life has been extended. An organizational basis and technological means for modernizing MiG-29, Su-24, Su-25, Su-27, L-39 has been produced. Given sufficient funding from the Verkhovna Rada, the defense industrial complex of Ukraine, in cooperation with foreign companies and manufacturers, is capable of fully renewing the aircraft arsenal of the Ukrainian armed forces. In 2005, the UAF was planning to restructure in an effort to improve efficiency. Ukraine was planning to put more advanced jet aircraft into service, possibly buying newer Su-27s and MiG-29s from Russia. The plans were that from approximately 2012, Ukraine would have to either take bold steps to create a new combat aircraft or purchase many existing combat aircraft. Due to the lack of funding, technical modernization was continually postponed. The Ukrainian Air Force continued to use armament and military equipment which functioned mainly thanks to so-called cannibalization, thus gradually depleting their total capabilities. Faced with the threat of losing military capability, initiating the process of technical modernization became a necessity. In 2006, many aging weapons and equipment were decommissioned from combat service by the Air Force. This presented an opportunity to use the released funds to the modernization of various items of aviation and anti-aircraft artillery weapons and equipment, radio communication equipment, and flight maintenance equipment, as well as an improvement of Air Force personnel training. In 2011, International Institute for Strategic Studies estimates that Ukraine's Air Force includes 1 Sukhoi Su-24M regiment, 5 regiments with Mikoyan MiG-29s and Sukhoi Su-27, 1 regiment with Sukhoi Su-25, 2 squadrons with Sukhoi Su-24MR, 3 transport regiments, some support helicopter squadrons, 1 helicopter training regiment, and some air training squadrons with L-39 Albatros. The IISS said they were grouped into the 5th and 14th Aviation Corps, the 35th Aviation Group, which is a multi-role rapid reaction formation, and a training aviation command. The IISS assesses the overall force size as 817 aircraft of all types and 43,100 personnel. The Aviation Corps had actually been reorganized into regional air commands in about 2004. Russian sources list 3 aviation groups. The automated systems of collection, processing and transmission of radio information have been adopted as a component part of the automated command and control system for aviation and air defense. Operational service testing of the circular surveillance radar station has also been completed. Prototypes of high-precision weapons systems, electronic warfare devices, and navigation equipment have been created and developed for state testing. Role in the 2014 Russian invasion of Ukraine. Following the Revolution of Dignity and subsequent March 2014 Russian annexation of Crimea and the following violence and insurgency in East Ukraine, Ukraine tried to increase its defense spending and capabilities, with returning equipment to service being a key part of the spending drive. During the 2014 Russian invasion of Crimea, the Air Force did not fight but lost several aircraft to Russia, most were returned to Ukraine. The Air Force has taken part in the conflict against the 2014 insurgency in Donbas. During this conflict it has lost several planes and helicopters. Wall Street Journal published USA Embassy in Kyiv report that Ukraine lost 19 planes and helicopters in the period April 22 to July 22, 2014. According to an unverified October 2015 report by Swiss technology company RUAG, the Air Force had lost nearly half of its aircraft. RUAG believed that 222 of the Air Force's 400 aircraft had been lost. Since July 12, 2014, the Ukrainian Air Force has been put on full combat alert. Around this date the Air Forces started restoring its former military airfields in Voznesensk, Bialik, and Chervonolinsk. Ukraine inherited a large inventory of aircraft from the Soviet Union. These were mostly decommissioned and stored as the nation had little use or funding to keep a large fleet active. In 2014, the Air Force announced that it will be bringing back 68 aircraft that have been in reserve since the collapse of the Soviet Union, including the Tupolev Tu-141 reconnaissance drone. In April 2014, 2 MiG-29 aircraft were restored. In August, a decommissioned An-26 transport aircraft was also restored to active service by a volunteer group. On January 5, 2015, the Air Force received another 4 newly restored airplanes, 2 MiG-29S and 2 Su-27S, as well as 2 Mi-8 and Mi-2 helicopters. As a result of the war in Donbas, the government of Ukraine has realized the importance of drone surveillance in locating enemy troops and recommissioned 68 Soviet-era Tu-141 drones to be repaired. Analysts point out that despite being designed in 1979, the Tu-141 has a powerful camera. It likely uses similar airborne radar and infrared sensor as the Soviet-era Su-24, which would make it prone to jamming by Russian forces as they use the same equipment. A crowdfunding project for a people's drone was also conducted. The goal was to collect funds to purchase an already functioning American or Israeli drone. However, Ukrainian designers and engineers were able to build their own model based on the commercially available DJI Phantom 2 drone. In October 2014, students from Ivano-Frankivsk designed their own drone to be used in the war in Donbas. The newly built drone has the ability to broadcast footage live, unlike the Tu-141, which relies on film that must be recovered. The drone was built from off-the-shelf components and funded by volunteers. The drone was also stated to have an operational ceiling of 7,000 meters, a range of 25 kilometers, and cost about $4,000 to build. Ukroboronprom has received an order for $2.5 million to refit several Mi-24 helicopter gunships, part of which included fitting them with night vision capabilities. The Mi-24 proved to be highly vulnerable to Russian-separatist attacks during the 2014 Russian military intervention in Ukraine. With the exception of captured aircraft in Crimean airbases, the Mi-24 had the highest loss rate of all aircraft in Ukraine's inventory, with 5 being shot down and 4 damaged during the conflict. Developments towards restoration. Starting in 1993, the United States National Guard worked with the Ukrainian Air Force as part of a NATO-sponsored program. The Ukrainian Air Force worked with the California Air National Guard's 144th Fighter Wing, during which time the National Guard pilots worked with Ukrainian pilots during various joint exercises, including in 2011 and 2018. On March 19, 2014, repaired L-39 were transferred to the 203rd Training Aviation Brigade. On April 4, 2014, a single repaired MiG-29 is transferred to the 114th Tactical Aviation Brigade. On May 29, 2014, a decision is taken to consolidate all MiG-29 repair the Lviv Aviacon plant. On July 6, 2014, a repaired Buk M1 is transferred to the Air Defense Forces. On July 31, 2014, a single repaired MiG-29 is transferred to the 40th Tactical Aviation Brigade. On August 5, 2014, an order number 499 was issued allocating finances to modernize all Su-27 to the Su-27B1M, Su-27P1M, Su-27S1M. On August 30, 2014, a single repaired An-26 is transferred to the 15th Transport Aviation Brigade. On October 3, 2014, Konatovo Air Base in the Kirovograd Oblast is brought back to life. There were plans to begin licensed production of the Saab JAS-39 Gripen fighter in Lviv. However, these plans have stalled since 2014. Russo-Ukrainian War. On Thursday, February 24, 2022, the Air Force began to respond to the advance of Russian aerospace forces, planes and materiel towards Ukrainian skies as part of the country's invasion by the Russian armed forces. The Russian Defense Ministry has claimed that over 100 air defense systems and over 90 aircraft have been disabled or destroyed as of March 6, 2022. No official figures from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry were immediately available. According to U.S. defense officials, UKAF still has 56 operational fighter jets as of March 11, 2022. In April 2022, an unspecified country has offered parts to help Ukraine restore 20 aircraft to operational usage, U.S. defense official claimed. On September 19, U.S. Air Force General James B. Hecker said that Russia has lost 55 military aircraft due to being shot down by Ukrainian air defenses since the start of the invasion. He credits this success to the Ukrainian use of SA-11 and SA-10 air defense systems. As the US doesn't have these systems, getting new missiles from European allies is a big ask from Kyiv. Russian airplanes have increased their operations due to the 2022 Ukrainian Kharkiv Oblast counter-offensive. The tally went to 55 after the UK MOD stated that it believed that some 4 Russian jets had been downed by Ukraine over the last 10 days. This was due to a number of factors, including changing front lines, or the fact that they were under pressure to provide closer ground support. He further claimed that Ukrainian Air Force is at about 80% of its pre-invasion strength after 7 months of combat. Equipment. As part of ongoing 2022 Russo-Ukrainian War, the following numbers may be outdated. Last reliable information of the number of Ukrainian Air Force operational aircraft came from December 2021. During the ongoing conflict, losses and technical refighting and donations may have changed the reported numbers. Aircraft. Current inventory. Retired. Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-21, Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-23, Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-25, Mikoyan MiG-27, Sukhoi Su-17, Sukhoi Su-15, Yakovlev Yak-28, Tupolev Tu-160, Tupolev Tu-95, Tupolev Tu-22M, Tupolev Tu-22, Tupolev Tu-16, Tupolev Tu-154 and the Tupolev Tu-134. Air Defense. Branches of the Air Force. Anti-aircraft defense. The anti-aircraft defense missile artillery forces within the Air Force became predominant after the 2004 merger of the Air Force and the Ukrainian Air Defense Forces. It allowed the armed forces of Ukraine to adopt the tri-service structure, common to most modern armed forces in the world. The air defense missile forces of the Ukrainian Air Force performs key tasks in the protection of Ukraine's sovereignty and the inviolability of its borders and airspace. It has clearly defined functions in both peacetime and wartime, is intended to prevent any enemy air and missile strikes, to defend the most important administrative, political, and industrial centers and other vital objects of importance, to aid in the concentration of Army and Navy units, to intercept enemy aircraft and other military objects, and to protect against enemy ballistic and cruise missile strikes. Structure. The Ukrainian Air Force Command is based in the city of Vinnytsia. After the collapse of the USSR and the independence of its constituent republics, it was organized on the basis of the Soviet Air Force's 24th Air Army of the High Command with an operational purpose. Ukrainian Air Force structure after the establishment of Air Command East on January 23, 2017. Air Force Command. Ukrainian Air Force Command, Vinnytsia. Staff of the Air Force Command. Air Force Operations Command. Air Force Training Command. Air Force Logistics Command directly subordinated. Air Force Command Center. 9th Command Center of the Signals and Elant System. 40th Special Communications Support Center. 41st Intelligence Command Center. 43rd Command Center for Search and Rescue Support to Flight Operations of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. 85th Long Distance Radio Navigation Center. 114th Air Navigation Support Center. 182nd Joint Information and Telecommunications Nod. 230th Supply Base. Tactical Aviation. 7th Tactical Aviation Brigade Petro Franco, Starokosti Antonov Air Base. 299th Tactical Aviation Brigade Light Gen Vasil Nikiforov, Kulbaykino Air Base. 383rd UAV Aviation Regiment, Khmelnytsky. Transport Aviation. 15th Borispil Transport Aviation Brigade Aircraft Designer Oleg Antonov, Borispil Airport. 25th Transport Aviation Brigade, Melitopol Air Base. 456th Guards Transport Aviation Brigade, Vinnytsia Airport. Other units. 101st Signals and Command Battalion. 19th Radio Intercept and Elant Regiment. NBC Surveillance and Analysis Station. 20th Special Signals and Radio Technical Equipment Repair Center. 73rd Flying Air Technical Laboratory. 101st Repair and Overhaul Battalion. 2007th Repair and Overhaul Battalion. 99th Stationary Automobile Repair Base. Stationary Automobile Repair Base. 137th Joint Material Technical Supply Center. 17th Air Force Technical Support Base. 204th Complex Technical Control NOD. 3rd Air Force Arsenal for Special Weaponry. 332nd Arsenal for Missile Systems and Armament. 433rd Weaponry and Equipment Storage Base. 485th Storage for Missile Systems and Armament. 649th Storage for Missile Systems and Armament. Training and Research Establishments and Units. Kharkiv National Air Force University Ivan Kochhedub, Kharkiv, Kharkiv Oblast 203rd Training Aviation Brigade, Chawiv Air Base and Communer Air Base, Kharkiv Oblast. NCO Military College. 38th Joint Education Center of the NAFU, Vasilkiv, Kyiv Oblast. 41st Education and Training Center, Danilivka, Kyiv Oblast. 202nd Air Force Sergeants Training Center, Vasilkiv, Kyiv Oblast. Mykolaiv Specialized Center for Combat Training of Aviation Specialists of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Mykolaiv, Mykolaiv Oblast. State Scientific Test and Evaluation Center of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Chernihiv. Korolyov Air Force Institute, Military Faculty of the National Aviation University, Kyiv. Ldart State Aviation Maintenance Plant, Lviv. Charz Aviation Repair Plant, Chawiv. Aviacon Aviation Repair Plant, Konotop. MARP Aviation Repair Plant, Mykolaiv. Air Command West. Air Command Central. Air Command South. Air Command East. Task Force Crimea. Task Force of Crimea Peninsula is under the control of the Russian Armed Forces. On April 8, 2014, an agreement had been reached between Russia and Ukraine for the withdrawal of an undisclosed number of Ukrainian aircraft seized in Crimea. Task Force Crimea. 40th Separate Radio Team. 204th Tactical Aviation Brigade. Former 62nd Fighter Aviation Regiment PVO. From March 1, 2014, Belbek Air Base and its 45 MiG-29S and 4 L-39S are under the control of the Russian Armed Forces. Since 2018, the 204th Tactical Aviation Brigade is based in Lutsk Air Base. 174th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Regiment. 50th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Regiment. 55th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Regiment. Geographic distribution. Military ranks. Officers. Other ranks and NCOs. Training. Training activities have taken on a qualitatively new character due to their complexity, including the simultaneous employment of all branches of the Air Force aviation, anti-aircraft artillery, and radar troops in close teamwork with units of other armed services of the armed forces. Operational and combat training has included the following activities. Aviation units have performed more than 6,000 tasks in combat scenarios. 5 tactical flying missions in a squadron, 14 in a pair and 5 in a flight organization have been carried out to perform the assigned combat tasks, and 54 pilots have been trained to perform specific tasks in difficult meteorological conditions. The number of flight crews being trained to defend the airspace of the country and counterterrorism air operations has almost doubled from 46 in 2005 to 90 in 2006. The units of anti-aircraft artillery and radar troops carried out 50 maneuvers involving redeployment, with each operator tracking 70 and 140 real and simulated targets, respectively. In early September 2007, the Ukrainian Air Force conducted the most large-scale training of its aircraft to date. As the Defense Minister of Ukraine, Anatoly Hrytsenko stated, the most large-scale, during the whole 16 years of the Ukrainian independence, training of fighting aircraft, which defends our airspace, was carried out during September 4-5. According to him, they fulfilled 45 battle launches of air-to-air missile, out of them 22 during the day and 23 at night. 35 pilots confirmed their high skills during the training. Hrytsenko stressed that 100% of air targets were hit. The Kharkiv State Aircraft Manufacturing Company has developed the KHAZ-30 ultralight trainer for the Ukrainian Air Force. The aircraft is designed for elementary pilot training as an introductory aircraft before recruits move on the more advanced Aero L-39 Albatros trainer.